The first snow of the season is on the way for many areas, along with a shot of Arctic air to follow. The first thing we'll speak on, and we'll get very detailed on this, is the snow part. We'll have individual graphics up for each state that will see impacts from snow. So, for example, if you just want to hear about, say, Michigan, you can jump ahead to that timestamp. Or if you just want to hear about Kentucky or Tennessee, you can jump ahead to the timestamp that includes that region. Definitely utilize those. I know my videos are very long, but I like to get very, very detailed. After that, we'll speak on the cold air part, and then we'll wrap the video up. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's start off by looking at the radar. Where is the snow right now on this beautiful Saturday morning? Well, the area you see in blue here, that is snow. And listen, the radar isn't always correct, but let me know if you're tuning in from, say, eastern South Dakota or North Dakota, or even areas really of, like northern Iowa, right where this rain snow line is, and heck, even northeast Nebraska. Are you seeing actual, snow flying around, or is it a cold rain, or is it a mixture? But listen, the HRRR model handled this well, and we're actually going to show you the HRRR model throughout this video. It's very dynamic with this storm system, meaning there's a chance that some of the snow could overachieve as far as what is forecasted currently for certain areas. So this is where the system is right now. Now there's multiple areas of energy associated with this cold air diving down, but this is what we're dealing with right now. A pretty compact area of moisture that is going to continue to head west to east across areas of the Midwest and eventually portions of the Great Lakes region. So let's move past this and let's look at the Dakotas and Minnesota and Iowa first. And we're going to make our way west to east. So utilize those timestamps. And if you don't want to hear about the Dakotas or Minnesota, don't blame you. If you're tuning in from, say, Kentucky or something, definitely jump ahead. Or unless you want to just be awesome and watch the entirety of my video, which I certainly appreciate people who do that. But let's continue to roll here. So the blue is snow, the green is rain. If you see any pink or orange show up, that's kind of a wintry mix. But the Euro is handling this well. We continue to move forward here. I think we could get a period of heavy wet snow. They've bumped up snowfall totals for areas of northern Iowa. And as we're getting into this afternoon, showing some heavy snow, but there is going to be a rain snow line that's going to set up somewhere in Iowa. It's just trying to figure out how that's going to set up. And honestly, it's happening right now. So that's what I was mentioning. Let me know what you're seeing out there. But this main area of energy will move away. And honestly, there's no real heavy moisture to deal with after this. Plenty of cold air. But I do think as we're waking up tomorrow morning, even though it's not really showing much, I think we're left with a little bit of flurry activity, light snow activity, as we have some Arctic air spilling in. And a lot of times, Arctic air likes to squeeze out all the moisture in the atmosphere and doesn't always reflect on radar or on model guidance here. But, northeast Minnesota, certainly seeing some cold snow up here flying around. And then you could see a little bit of snow, say, in eastern Iowa as we're getting into later tomorrow evening. But certainly not a big event for you guys as standards in this area. And just to break it down state by state, now it's snowing in eastern South Dakota right now. So this is kind of a now thing. But Brookings, 2 inches of snow. Sioux Falls, kind of the same thing. So not a whole lot. Of course, the Black Hills could get a little bit of snow from this, just with some elevated moisture. But the middle of the state, not a whole lot. We'll move past this. We look in Iowa. Now, this is happening right now, but Fort Dodge are going for about 1.5 inches of snow. Let's see what happens in Des Moines, Ames, but you're kind of on that the warm side, sort of a cold rain, but the northwestern sections of Iowa could certainly see accumulating snow. You're probably getting some right now, and in fact, some of these blue areas, this is where potential for 3-4 inches of snow could fall. Excuse me, guys. Feeling a little under the weather this morning. That's why I have my glasses on, looking like going full geek mode with you guys. But anyways, trying to muscle through this video for you folks. But northwest Iowa is probably seeing accumulating snow right now. Now we move on up to Minnesota. It's really the southern areas of Minnesota that we'll watch out for. And this is just between now and the next 48 hours. So we could certainly get a little bit more snow. For example, it's not really showing accumulating snow in northeast Minnesota, but we could certainly see some. But this is just between now and 12 a.m. Monday. So some more snow could fall after this, but going for some dusting to light snowfall accumulations down here in southern Minnesota. But this is the area where the snow could get heavy. And listen, the forecast is going to be very tricky. And when I show you some of these individual graphics, you're probably going to crack up at what they're saying. But let's start it off with showing you what the Euro is showing. And we're going to start off this evening. This system that's in Iowa, moving in Iowa right now, is going to move across areas of Illinois and Wisconsin. Cold air is already spilling into the north, so some lake effect stuff is going to get going into the UP and Michigan, combined with a short wave moving down here at the base of this trough. So some snow flying around in southern Wisconsin. Will it mix with some snow in northern Illinois? I think it's very possible, but northern Illinois will certainly be an area where there's some sort of rain snow line setting up. Same thing with lower Michigan. As we're moving into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, where does this rain snow line set up with this first area of moisture? That's a big question here. It's plenty cold enough once you get up here in the UP. Northern Wisconsin, northern lower Michigan, but just not a lot of moisture to deal with outside of lake effect stuff. And you keep on going, how heavy of a band of snow do we get right at this kind of thermal boundary, meaning right at that rain snow line, say in northern areas of Indiana, even northwest Iowa, southern lower Michigan tomorrow morning. I think there's the possibility for a heavy banding area of snow. And then this is when the lake effect stuff gets going. We could have some wild banding features off the Great Lakes, more so light stuff over here. But there could be an epic lake effect snow band firing off in general north to south off Lake Michigan. And this is when the forecast for snow gets awfully odd as we're getting into tomorrow night into Monday morning in places like Chicago. Heck, even tucked into far southeast areas of Wisconsin, it is going to be very, very tricky to figure this one out. The UP of Michigan continues to get this lake effect stuff. The kind of the directional orientation of this lake effect snow band begins to shift. This trough begins to shift, and we'll start to get some snow flying around in western areas of lower Michigan, the UP of Michigan. And then by the time we're getting into Tuesday morning, things should begin to relax. But we got to watch some other areas of energy flying around to the north too. The pattern looks still pretty active next week. It's just a lot of things is pushed to the north. So what about these snowfall forecasts? Well, first off, let's look at the HRRR model. This is how dynamic it looks, guys. Like, for example, this is this evening. It really wants to crash the rain snow line pretty far south. So you see this dark blue? That is extremely heavy, wet snow. Like Dubuque, watch out. Heck, even Madison, Rockford. Don't listen. This could blow the current snowfall forecast I'm about to show you out the water, guys. So this is a tricky setup. Heavy moisture showing up. Could this switch to heavy wet snow in Chicago? Look at this banding feature, kind of going all the way down to Peoria. Now this is later tonight. We even got a convective element. We're going to get some heavy snow wherever the snow is actually falling. In certain areas in that blue. So it's a very interesting setup, and it's a lot different than what the Euro is showing. This is tomorrow morning. We're waking up, and the HRRR model wants to show a heavy banding feature of snow in northern Indiana, back into Illinois, getting into northwest Ohio, and then it switches to like nuclear snowfall rates into areas like Detroit. Now, this is just one model run, but listen, I would not bet against it. We've seen this happen. The HRRR model is great, in my opinion, at sniffing these things out. So do not let this catch you by surprise. If you live in this entire area tomorrow, this could do something wild. And then that's when you get these crazy lake effect snow bands setting up and kind of just pivoting around. And this is when things can get weird with that. Snowfall forecast, let's start off north, work our way south. And this is what they're going for and this is between now and about 6 p.m. Monday. Inch or less of snow in northeast Minnesota. This is when it gets heavy. East of Duluth, Hurley, 3 to 9 inches of snow. Pause these graphics if you need to, guys. And this is what they're saying for Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin as a whole could just be a tricky state for sure. And then we begin to move south. Now, this is when it gets odd. Look at southeast Wisconsin, guys. This is crazy. Milwaukee. You could get 7 inches. Or you get less. You're just going for 7 inches or less. I'm not sure how y'all pronounce this. Racine, 11 inches or less. That's your forecast. We got to figure out how this band is going to pivot into this area. But man, what a forecast. Now we go back up to the UP of Michigan. Wait till you see Chicago, guys. We go up to the UP of Michigan. This is when they're a little bit more confident. They actually have a legit range here. Marquette, 6 to 12. I know I got a lot of loyal followers up in this region. Stephen, Lisa, let me know what you end up getting from this. I would love to know. Ironwood, 6 to 11. Marquette, 6 to 10. Republic, 8 to 12. Watson, 7 to 11. Houghton, 2 to 4. So someone's going to get hit. Marquette looks to be right in the middle of this. Now we bump it down to areas of lower Michigan. Traverse City, 2 to 7. It can get kind of tricky. And western areas of lower Michigan, too. And I think the general theme is the central portions of northern lower Michigan is not going to get as much snow. You're kind of be between everything. But this area right here in southern lower Michigan is a tricky area. We could get with this short wave about to move in, as we get into tomorrow morning, things get tricky. Things get overachieved fast. Kalamazoo, 1 to 4. It's a pretty big range. Jackson, 1 to 3. Benton Harbor, 4 to 10. So. And we look at the Detroit area. Detroit, 2 inches or less, but we could get tricky with it. I keep saying that tomorrow, I'm telling you. Jackson, 1 to 3. Ann Arbor, 4 inches or less. So, we continue to move forward. Let's drop it south. Okay, this is an interesting area here. Very dynamic setup. It's very possible. And as we start to move into Sunday morning, this is what it's looking like. And listen, this is where some model guys disagrees. We're going to have some sort of tight rain snow line setting up into here, and the first round moves in and out, and then this is when the lake effect snow could get going, and this is when the energy begins to dive south, and we start to get just festive snow flying around early Monday morning across all the states you see on your screen. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, down to Kentucky, and somebody's going to get crushed by a lake effect snow band up here. We just got to figure out who. This is getting into Monday evening. This is getting into Tuesday morning. And then could even have some lingering stuff into Tuesday night. But this is the HRRR model, guys. Look at this. And this only goes 48 hours out. And we've already kind of talked about this. But listen, if this plays out like this in northern Indiana, you guys are going to get double dosed with snow. Because you're going to get the lake effect snow too. And this could be some extremely heavy wet snow early tomorrow morning. And we actually could get some thunderstorms in some areas down to the south that can end up getting snow just several hours later. But as this begins to pivot through, could get a switch of some heavy wet snow in northeast areas of Ohio, northwest areas of Ohio, And then this is when things can get crazy to the south. Kentucky starts to mix some rain to snow. Some snow begins to dive down into Dayton. This is tomorrow afternoon, evening. And then this is when eastern Kentucky, tomorrow evening, could get some snow. We'll speak more about Kentucky here in a second, but look at these flurries diving down areas of lights and all the way down to Frankfort, Lexington, Bowling Green, and Indianapolis. This is like late tomorrow evening, some lingering flurries over here into Illinois. Heck, even St. Louis could get some flurries, and flurries all the way down to Nashville, and this is where it stops late tomorrow night. Look at this big lake effect snow band. So check this out. Your boy was tripping out about this morning. Chicago could get an inch. You could get 15 inches of snow. I have never seen that. That is just crazy. And this was updated a few hours ago. 1 to 15 inches of snow is forecast. I'm not going to try to say this name. I think I memorized it last winter, but there it is. 8 to 18 inches of snow. Knox, 7 to 16. Some big ranges in this area. 5 to 11 in South Bend. A little bit of snow is possible. And this is an area that could overachieve, guys. Rockford, Freeport. I know you're seeing an inch and less, thinking if you're a big snow fan in this area, man, we ain't going to get anything. But I'm telling you, watch later this afternoon, this evening. Things can get wild. Not going to say you heard it here first, but it could get wild. Northern Indiana, this is an area that could get crushed with some heavy early season snow. South Bend, 5 to 11. Rochester, 4 to 11. It gets a little weird once it gets a little bit, closer to Interstate 69, but Fort Wayne, 1 to 4, Huntington, 1 to 4, but we'll see what happens with this. But this is a big area where snow could fall. And then, we drop it down a little bit further south in Indiana, Indianapolis, 2 inches or less. This entire area is a tricky region, but in general, 2 to 3 inches or less of snow is forecast. And then we look at northern Ohio, Cleveland, inch or less, a little bit south of Cleveland, maybe a little bit more. But once again, kind of this area here in northwest Ohio, it's tomorrow evening, that system is going to swing through. It'll start off as rain, could switch to very heavy snow. So just got to watch out for that. And then southern areas of Ohio, Columbus going for about an inch. And this is between now and about 7 p.m. Monday. Could still be a little bit of snow flying around, but this is pretty impressive for early November. I mean, we've seen crazier, but still. Now, dropping down to, I've included a couple states in some of these timestamps, so some states are getting double dosed, if you will. But this is the southern apps starting off Sunday morning. Everybody's too warm, no snow, and then we get into tomorrow evening. This is where some snow could begin to mix in with some of this rain in areas like the Cumberland Plateau, higher elevations of Kentucky, West Virginia, and North Carolina and Tennessee, like the Smokies. And then as we're getting into late tomorrow night, like wee hours of morning Monday, this is when the cold air works in. Smokies, it'll start to snow like crazy. Could begin to snow in places like Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg a little bit. Cumberland Plateau starting to get some snow. And this is kind of just the first round, right? Seeing some snow in West Virginia. And then we kind of get the energy that dives down with the trough to Monday afternoon. And we could literally, in the middle of the afternoon Monday on November 10th, see snow flying around. In the afternoon, I'll add again, as far south as northeast Alabama, Middle Tennessee, Eastern Tennessee. Just a festive day, for sure. Put up your Christmas tree this weekend in these areas, guys. I'm telling you, if you're not into that kind of stuff, you're just not into it. I know I am. I don't know how anybody isn't, but some people just don't like snow and don't care about it. But I would put it up. And then, Monday evening, watch as snow is drifting around outside and pull the Christmas story thing. But anyways, you guys know I love snow. I'll start geeking out about it if you don't watch out here. But the thing that's interesting to me is this snow breaking containment east of the Alps. So, it's showing northern North Carolina, basically the Piedmont of the Carolinas, seeing some snow flurry activity Monday evening. Am I going to say take this to the bank? No, but it's absolutely possible. Look at Rock Hill, Charlotte. Some snow flurry activity I think is possible. Some deep cold air works in, and it's still just light to moderate snow drifting around across these areas you see in blue. And then check this out. I mean, late Monday night, some snow flying around in southern areas of Virginia. The central and western areas, I mean, even some areas of moderate snow flying around. So I think it's very possible. And just kind of showing more areas here. Let's back it up a little bit. I think Virginia and, the Tidewater of Maryland, stuff like that could get some snow. And then here's the H-Report model. Remember, this only goes out 48 hours, so we don't have the entirety of the run. But here it comes swinging in. This is tomorrow evening. Moderate, maybe burst of heavy snow starting to fly around in eastern Kentucky. And then just flurries. And we don't know what kind of the main show looks like because this only goes out to late tomorrow night. But even just to about midnight, 1 a.m. Monday morning, I mean, it already shows flurries as far southwest as Nashville. And just bands of light and moderate snow flying around. So this is turning into a pretty decent event for, first half of November standards. But snowfall forecast, Kentucky, they're not going for anything crazy. Around an inch or two or less in these areas. Pause these screens if you need to. And the rest of eastern Kentucky, the eastern hills, I think some areas could score a little bit more than what this is showing. Now, remember, this only goes out to 7 p.m. Monday. Could still have some flurries flying around. West Virginia. Now, this is a big area. This only goes out, like I said, to 7 p.m. Monday. I think we could get a few more inches of snow than what this is showing because this does not extend through Tuesday. Honestly, I'm going to flip and look at the Euro here. This is kind of a worst case scenario or best case scenario, depending on how you like snow for West Virginia. Really bullseyes the highlands and gives you guys, well over 6 inches of snow in certain areas. And I think that's very possible. Middle Tennessee, not calling for any accumulation in Nashville, but once you get to the Cumberland Plateau, I know it doesn't show anything dropping down to northeast Alabama. But listen, I'm not going to roll out a dusting of snow in these areas, even a half inch. Do not. I know these graphics don't show anything. But remember, this only goes out to 7 p.m. in eastern Tennessee. So Monday. So it's still going to be snowing in some of these areas. But, still pretty impressive. You could get an inch or less in some of these areas in eastern Tennessee. Gatlinburg's always a weird area. I know a lot of people say go to Gatlinburg in these events. But listen, I've been to Gatlinburg about 4 or 5 times at Northwest Flow events. And it hardly ever snows what they forecast in Gatlinburg. It's you would think it would snow a lot because it's right up against the Smokies, and sometimes it does. But anyways, but yeah, it's going to be a festive event Monday in this area. And just taking another look at this by looking at the Euro, and it really wants to hammer the Smokies and western areas of North Carolina, the higher elevations, the favored regions in this setup. But look at the Cumberland Plateau, an inch, inch and a half, and it's just going to be spotty. We just got to figure it out. And, looking at areas of Virginia, some accumulations are possible in the higher elevations of West Virginia, but, not a whole lot. And then taking a broad look at things, and that's where I want to show you. You see these little splotchy areas in the Carolinas? Do I think a half an inch of snow is going to fall in Charlotte? I don't. But do I think flurries are possible? I do. I really, really do. It's becoming more and more possible to almost where we could say, hey, this is likely going to happen. Are we going to get any snowfall accumulations? I would say probably not. But I don't rule out any of these scenarios these days. But pretty wild stuff. And just to take a little larger of a look up the road, here it is in Virginia. Look how splotchy these amounts are. I would look at this entire area and say, hey, there's a risk of some flurries, some light snow drifting around these regions. And then to finalize this with the Northeast, this moves in tomorrow morning. It'll be just cold enough to start off as winter weather in the Adirondacks, Vermont, New Hampshire, higher elevations, all rain for everybody pointing south. Could be a pretty meaty winter storm up here in Quebec. And with low pressure riding through, the cold air has to work in first. Another low pressure rides in. Could switch to some winter weather in Vermont, even areas in New Hampshire, the Adirondacks, and then some lake-enhanced stuff gets going across favored areas as we're getting into, really, this is Tuesday. But the thing about the Northeast is it looks like it stays active as you guys are sticking out like a sore thumb into an active storm track. Troughing continues to fly over the Northeast, so it could continue to be pretty active up here as we move forward later into next work week. I mean, it's like you got a consistent feed of moisture up here. Things have definitely changed. But Western PA, now remember this only goes out to 7 p.m. Monday. This is what you're going for. But, it doesn't show a whole lot. But listen, I'll kind of round it off with this, with the snow part of this. This is what you could potentially see off the Euro between now and about Friday morning of next week. Shows a pretty active track. I don't think this will be a huge lake effect snow event for for the system coming up for Lake Erie and Lake Ontario due to the orientation of the trough, but we could have more opportunities later in the next work week. So we continue to watch this area. Now, what we'll wrap up this video with is cold air. These are potential high temperatures today, 90s in southern areas of Texas, but sub-freezing temperatures to the north. That boundary will sink south as that cold front does. These are high temperatures tomorrow. These are high temperatures for Monday. And then look how everything just rebounds back up. This is a quick but potent shot of Arctic air. Okay, now these are low temperatures. This is tomorrow morning, very cold temperatures. This is Monday morning. Look, 12 degrees, 14 degrees getting into Nebraska, Iowa. Your first freeze of the season down to Texas, Arkansas, and then things begin to moderate Tuesday morning. And then this is Wednesday morning. You can see how the cold kind of reloads up here in the Dakotas and Minnesota. We'll talk more on that once we move fully past this system. These are high temperatures today. Very warm day across the southern tier of the country. This is high temperatures tomorrow. Cold front works in. Look at that dramatic drop, say in Nashville, 71 today for a high, 51 for a high tomorrow, 20-degree high temperature drop, and only maybe 39, 40 degrees tomorrow. And I'm just using Nashville as an example. These are high temperatures. Monday is going to feel like January. But it'll be below average temperature-wise for January standards. And then this is Tuesday, chilly day, and then things begin to moderate. And then these are low temperatures for Monday morning. Freeze moving in. This is Tuesday morning. The entire eastern U.S. locked up. Sub-freezing temperatures, first hard freeze of the season, and even a cold morning for Wednesday morning. But things begin to rebound pretty fast. So that's all I got. I know I've left some of you guys hanging with a daily forecast. Yesterday I was just in a hurry. Today I'm kind of in a hurry too, because I'm actually heading up to urgent care to get my eye looked at, and that's why I'm wearing my glasses this morning. I think I got pink eye or something like that, and I haven't had that in like a decade. But eyes certainly aren't something you want to mess around with too much. So just gonna go do the right thing and suck it up and go to urgent care. But I did want to just drop a video for you guys this morning. I might do another one tonight, just kind of give you fresh information, and just because I'm excited to talk about snow, even though it's not going to snow in my area. But I'm going to keep you guys updated. you can tell by the views of the videos this week that people have not really made the transition to snow quite yet. But I know that'll change over the coming days. But God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.